Jordan Horrobin of Northstar Bets now joins us. I don't want to start on a negative note. I know we can. The big storyline coming out of the game against Tampa Bay is Alek Manoah's performance. We'll get into that. But this is the fourth straight series win for the Jays this season. What stood out for you so far with this Jays team? Did they look better than they did last year?
I don't know if they look better. I mean, they look probably just as good, at least. I mean, they're right on pace for what you probably should have expected of a team that's going to compete for a playoff spot, a team that is hopefully going to surpass that 90 win threshold in a really tight competitive division. And starting off that division battle by beating the Rays, I mean, 2 out of 3 games, yes, we can talk about the third game and how that wasn't so good, but to take 2 out of 3 against a team that hadn't lost yet this season, that's a huge plus to take away from the series.
Okay, Alek Manoah, can you help us understand what's going on with him? What's wrong with his command at the moment?
Yeah, I'll try. So, I mean, we saw we saw some warning signs, I think, in his first 2 seasons. I mean, here's a guy that led the American League in hit by pitches or hits by pitch, depending on what way you say that, in 21 and 22, even though the 2021 season was a partial year for him. So he's had some wildness in the past, so that's not totally surprising. The difference is it's more sustained now, and he's having a harder time staying in the zone. So before, where it was maybe a 2-seamer that ran away from him or a slider that broke too much on a lefty, now he's just not living in the zone as much as he was. His strike percentage is down about 5.5 percentage points, and his first pitch strike percentage is down 6 percentage points. So, you put that together, he's having a hard time kind of getting ahead of guys early in counts and then sticking with them through the end. And again, it's only 4 starts so far, but it's definitely a disconcerting sign.
Yeah, John Schneider said, it's not about mechanics. It's about just being in the zone a little bit more. So easy to fix, obviously. Clearly, 7 runs and 9 hits. Was it 15 walks this season already? It has been poor. Is it time, though, do you think, to maybe put Jansen in there rather than Kirk? Mix it up, try something different?
Yeah, that's a reasonable question to ask. I mean, it's tough because for a guy who's already uncomfortable, you'd have to assume, to have thrown this many balls and had this many walks, to then take away the catcher that he perceives to be most comfortable with. I don't know. That might be adding another element into the mix that is not going to work in his favor. I think behind the scenes, maybe that's a conversation they're having. Maybe that's something they're even working on. I think they wouldn't want to publicize something like that yet or entertain that type of hypothetical unless everyone was really on board with it. So that's definitely left to be seen.
We know confidence is the big thing amongst pitchers, and Alek Manoah is a guy who really wears his emotions on his sleeve. If you were Alek Manoah, how do you find a way to just get that confidence back? Because it'd be just a small thing, like just finding your command, or is it as big as stringing together some wins?
I mean, stringing together some wins is definitely a big one. He's a guy last year, or really both years he's been in the league. If he's coming off an awesome start and people want to talk to him about his individual accolades, he would always be most excited to first talk about if the team had won that day. And if they hadn't won that day and he'd pitched 7 strong, you weren't going to get a super bubbly Alek Manoah post game. So I think, yes, getting some wins chalked up on his ledger there would be a great way to start. But yeah, he's a guy who we haven't seen this from him yet. This is sort of unprecedented as far as the Alek Manoah experience in Toronto. He's been extremely confident and he's been extremely successful pretty much every time out, or at least most times out. And so this is a really interesting sort of time for us to see, hey, how is he going to respond to this and can he bounce out of it?
We're speaking with Jordan Horrobin of Northstar Bets. Jordan, outside of Manoah, the Jays got some pretty good starts in this series against a really good ball club in the Rays. Notably, Kikuchi is now 2-0, struck out 9 over 6 innings. The first time he's done that since July 30th against the Rays. Hopefully, I mean, it'd be nice for Kikuchi to play the Rays every single game, but that's not going to be the case. What's your confidence level right now in Kikuchi moving forward?
Yeah, I still don't think his agent would want him to face the Rays every time out, but the numbers have been pretty good so far. I think with Kikuchi, I mean, who had this on their bingo card that he'd be the guy dotting up the zone and Manoah would be the guy struggling? Not me. But yeah, I think there's a ton of encouraging things to take away from this. And the way that we talk about Manoah's sort of lack of confidence right now, the opposite is true of Kikuchi. He's living it up. He's kind of throwing things exactly where he wants to be. And it's been really exciting to watch. I think anytime you watch him start and you see those mid-90s readings on his fastball, you really need to appreciate that is a rare thing for lefty starters in the majors. There's not a lot of guys that can do that. So if he can do that and have some command with it, then he should probably have a pretty good year.
But let's be honest here. If you're the Jays brass and you see the performances by Bassett and Kikuchi and Barrios over the weekend, surely you're most relieved by the performance of Barrios, who looked great before being, of course, hit by that pitch. Just a knee contusion, bruise. It's a sporting parlance for a bruise. He'll be just fine. But I mean, that must have been just enormous for that clubhouse and for that management.
Contusion is a word only used in sports. I'm not sure why we decided that, but yeah, Barrios, that start is, as much as you could say someone needed to have a great start in April, Barrios was kind of in that zone, because this isn't just a few slow starts that he had this year. This is coming off a hugely disappointing season last year, where he started the season as the opening day starter and just didn't come anywhere close to living up to those expectations after inking a nice extension with the Jays. So for him to come out and stop a team that had won 13 in a row to start the season is incredible, and to do it in such a dominating fashion. And he's had some really good success against the Rays in recent years. So just all sorts of encouraging tidbits that we can say about Barrios after not being able to saying a lot of nice things about him recently.
All right, quickly, Jordan. So the Jays, they're in Houston tonight, take on the Astros. Kevin Gausman gets the ball against Christian Javier. The Astros 7-9 right now, not having the greatest season, but they were 7-9 this time last season. What's the difference between what they've done last year compared to this?
Well, this year they don't have Verlander, and they haven't had Jose Altuve yet. They don't have Michael Brantley. So there's, and Verlander they won't have because he plays for a different team now. Those other two guys they'll obviously get back. I think with the Astros, it's still a team that I like a lot in the long run. I mean, it's such a veteran-laden club that has done this so many times over. And once you get Altuve and Brantley back in that lineup, it's just so long, and there's so many guys that can beat you. So if I was an Astros fan, I wouldn't be too worried yet, but I do think that Blue Jays are catching them at a really good time. They're dodging Framber Valdez and Hunter Brown, who have been their two best starters so far this season. And, this is a team that has already lost a series to the Tigers. They're coming off a series loss to the Rangers. So the Jays are catching them at a really good time. I don't think the Astros are, going to be a below 500 team for that much longer, though.
Yeah, and the Astros got, after the Jays, the Braves and Rays. So very important series for them. So Gausman gets the ball. He's been pretty good. Probably the Jays' best starter this season. What's changed in Gausman? Is it a pitch clock thing that you think maybe it has helped his command and how he's been playing games?
I don't think the pitch clock has hurt him. I mean, he's a guy that works usually with a decent pace, and so I think having that in play is not going to work against this guy. But I mean, he's been a really good starter for a lot of years, and he was great with the Jays last year. This is kind of, they wanted to kind of have Gausman and Manoah be sort of that two-headed monster at the top of the rotation. And again, we've only seen half of that so far. But hey, a one-headed monster is not the worst thing. That's still pretty scary. So I think Gausman's doing more than his part so far, and he looks really good. He's really fun to watch every time out. I mean, that splitter is one of the most fun pitches to watch in baseball. It's all over Twitter when he's out there. So we'll probably see it a lot more tonight.
Yeah, Kevin Gausman, all around good guy. At least it seems that way. Jordan Horrobin of Northstar Bets, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks a lot, guys.